This is a story all about how my life got flipped upside down, and I'd like to take a minute to sit right there. I'm going to tell you the story of how Damien and Becky became my best friends.
Come on. Sound like you're rapping at some point.
Hi guys, welcome back to the podcast In My 20s. I'm your host, Buki Smart Sulaiman, and I'm here today for a very, very special episode. So I would like to welcome my very special friend. I'm one of her biggest fans. This is Becky.
Buki and a fan.
Becky and a fan.
All day, every day.
All day, every day. So I met Becky when I was about 17, 18, I want to say. Yeah. And we just went straight into the deep end. So thank you, Becky, for being here.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
So proud of you.
Thank you.
Love all that you do. Always a fan.
I never got in there.
Okay, sorry.
Dames, guys, this is Damie, Dimlade, Dames.
I like Dimlade.
Dimlade.
I think quite Dames though.
I like Dames.
Yeah.
Dames is like a cute name. But yeah, these are my very best of friends. I've known Damie. I don't know how long it's been. It just seems longer.
Yeah.
But she has a really great story on how we met. When she first laid her eyes, guys, upon this beauty, I knew that we're going to be best friends forever. So Dames is going to tell us the fantastic story of how we met.
Okay. So how did we meet? I think I remember seeing you a lot because, of course, you were dating a really good friend of mine who's now your husband. And yeah, I think I used to hear a lot about you. I knew you as
things, I hope.
All fantastic things, like really, really good things. Actually, I was like, okay, she seems like a nice person. Like, I mean, Tim Tokwa himself, like if you meet him, you know that his girlfriend kind of has to be like a big deal because his standard, like
he's very, very great guy.
So I was just like, oh, this is really nice. Like she seems really sweet, really nice. And yeah, we would say hi. But I think the turning point for our relationship started when you invited me for your 25th birthday.
That was such a great weekend.
Yeah, it was incredible. It was honestly one of the best memorable weekends or periods of my life, I think. Like, when I think back to that moment, I'm like, wow, like it was so nice. Like I really loved it. So when you invited me, I remember like seeing the text. I was like, okay, this is interesting. Like I know you, but like I didn't know that
talking.
We had
a little bit. Like I had your number. Like I'd message
like
every
for
now
like
and again.
Tim's birthday, I'd be like, oh, should we buy like this cake? Or like I know you'd be like, do this or do that, or like
we didn't have our own friendship yet.
No, but we would like see at church, like say nice things to each other, like how you doing? But like
good.
Yeah, exactly. So when you sent the invitation, I was like, okay, this is quite interesting. Like this is really like, and it was a full weekend, and I knew that you were gathering intimate things. So I was like, okay, she's gathering like her really good friend. So I was like, okay, maybe she's doing this because she doesn't want her boyfriends. She doesn't want her boyfriend not to have any friends like along, to the birthday. I was like, okay, I'm gonna come. Of course, like there was no, I think you put think about it. I was like, I'm not thinking. Yeah, I'm there. I was definitely gonna always go. But I think when that weekend, spending time with you, seeing the type of person that you actually are, like, because I watch a lot, I observe a lot. Like I think I love watching people. So I would just watch you, like the way you treated the people that quote unquote didn't matter that much, really blew my mind away. Like people that came to do the like the private dining experience for us, people that came to set things up. Like you were so nice, you were so kind, and like the way you treated all of us, it was so obvious that you wanted us to have a great experience.
That's so cute.
It was, I was like, this is, and like I said, I would catch glimpses of him looking at you, and I'm like, okay, I get why he loves you. Because sometimes you like, with couples, you don't really know, like, do you get what I mean? What is it about this person? And obviously you guys had been together for 7 years or 6 at the time. Years, and I'm like, what, like, I wasn't like, how far, basically, I was just like, wow, this is incredible. Like you are an incredible person. And I think that was the beginning of our friendship. And we would talk about like boys. I would call you and I'm like, oh, Buki, like this guy.
Gosh, guys. I thought we left talking about boys in like
20,
No, we didn't too.
We're still talking about boys.
We still are.
It's a hot topic.
Probably even more now, to be honest.
It's actually more now. And because it's serious.
Yeah, it's
with
actually
tears and snorts
in our 20s, we're dating people that could potentially be
marriage
husbands.
partners.
And I think I always saw you as someone who was wise and someone who I could go to with specific information, because I knew that you would give me sound advice from experience, but also because you're just a wise person, and I knew that I could see that.
Demi speaking for all of us.
And then so that, I think that bonded us for like a little bit, but with most friendships, that is not enough. Do you get what I mean? Like, you can't just talk about it's just initial common ground. And then a couple months ago, last year, was it this year?
No, it was this year.
No, it wasn't this year.
It was January.
Wow. So like you went through like a very life transforming experience, and I think whenever that happens to anybody, there's a lot of reevaluation, a lot of conversations that need to be had, just a lot of things you need to re-understand. So we went out for lunch and we just had the longest conversation about ourselves, and I think I was in a place where I had friends. I have, friends who I consider to be good friends. And I knew that Buki had always been in my life, but I wasn't sure what place I held in her life, because I'm talking about you like you're not right here in front of me. But like I know you've always had a really good group of friends, and you've always spoken about the value you place on friendships. And I think for me, I was like, can I be a good friend to Buki? Like, I wasn't sure. Do you know what I mean? Like, how much of myself can I, or how can I be a good friend? I just wasn't sure if I was being a good friend to you or good enough to you. And when you started communicating certain things to me, like,
I was telling Demi that she's like the love of my life.
And I was like,
you're so great, and you're this, and this is what you mean to me. And you were so shocked.
I was shocked.
Like, really?
Yeah, I was like,
like, do I not show that? Do I not? And you were like, oh, you're not sure.
Yeah.
So talk about that lunch and how that, I guess, transformed our relationship.
Yeah, I think by showing up as your authentic self, you don't realize how much you're actually impacting another person. So for me, I wasn't trying to be like your best friend. I was just like, just being myself. And I felt like that wasn't enough, because I think friendships need to be handled with intentionality, right? And I hadn't got to that point of intentionality with you just yet. I was just like your friend, right? Because I didn't know that you needed me in that way, or that you even wanted me in that way, because you have many other people around you. So I think that conversation opened my eyes to the reality of, okay, number one, there's a need for both of us. Number two, you actually see my authentic self as a good enough friend. Do you get what I mean? Like, I don't need to like work hard or like please you. Like, the way that I was to you was giving you what you needed. And I really believe in divine friendships as well. And so if it could have been that easy up until that point, then it meant that it was meant to be. Right?
Come on.
Right?
Come
That's
on.
how I felt.
Come on.
That's how I felt. And like, we're just like confessing. I was like, oh, I just love listening to you. You're so wise. And you're like, oh, me too. And I'm like, oh, really? And
I
like,
genuinely see you, I think, very similar to how you see me. But we never quite saw each other from the other person's like lens and perspective.
Which is interesting, right? I wonder how many other friendships go through that stage where like people don't see the need that somebody else has for them, you know, or like how valuable they could be. Like, I don't sit down thinking, oh, Jamie, you're such a good friend. Like, you know, do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So it took you telling me to make me want to be an even better friend to you. And I think after that conversation, like my love for you like exploded in my heart, and I'm like, I'm going to do everything that I can to be like the person that you need me to be. And not like you're putting any expectations or pressures on me at all, but like, I just really want to love well and love you well and just be a good friend to you. Like, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Do you get what I mean? Like, it was such a good conversation.
Should have brought like tissue so we can
like, I feel
at this point
I feel emotional. Yeah, because you like, I mean, I could go on, but I think we should move on.
No, that's so fantastic, Dames. Thank you for sharing that story. I actually love that for us. And like you said, friendships are so important to me. I think you guys know, like, I think a lot of people just do friendship and life passively without much thought, without actually thinking deeper. Like, it's one thing to say, I went to school with this person and we had similar interests in school, and therefore we're friends or we're best friends. And I call some people like legacy best friends. But I think the older I get, so the older I was getting, I started actually putting deeper thought and meaning behind, like, what does this person mean to me? Who do I want to have in my life? And that's something I really want people to think about with friendships, and even changing friendships. Like, sometimes you actually aggressively have to edit your life and figure out, like, who do I want for this next season, this next chapter of my life? There's some friends that have seasons. Like they were in your life for a season, maybe in school, in uni, maybe to get you through a tough time or something. And then that's kind of it. And that's fine. You know, you don't have to throw the whole friendship away, but you just recognize and acknowledge them for who they are, whilst also being like, okay, who do I now need for this next chapter? And I think that when we had that conversation was me letting you know, because I think I had already almost decided like way in advance, like I want to do life with Damien. And then I now communicated that to you. So you now understood, okay, this is where I'm at in Bookie's life, and this is what she expects from us.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I think that there are also some people that you observe, because I think life is always seasonal. And if we let it be life, then there are actually friends that would always come and go. But I think there's some people that I recognize and I'm like, I don't care what season I'm going through. I want you there all the time. Do you get what I mean? And then you then have to, I wouldn't say fight, because fighting is like exerting a little pressure and all of that stuff. But there's some friendships in my life that I'm like, I don't care what I'm going through, because there's a path that you could easily just take and you know, things will just go left, you know, and it's 100%. Fine. Nobody's fighting anybody, but like you've just kind of moved apart. But I think there's some people that I'm like, I'm not going to let that happen with you. Like I would not under any, like I have decided life is not going to decide for me. You know what I mean? I think you're definitely one of those people for me, and I think everybody should have those people for themselves. That like season in, out, bad, good, rain, hot, whatever. Like this is and it takes work, but like you put in the work. Of
course. And I think that a lot of people don't know that friendship does require work. Like intentional friendship requires work. Like dying to self, actually sacrificing, actually listening for what other people need, making changes. You know, Damien and I have had some very like serious conversations that were tough for the both of us, you know, both of us. And it only gets better. Like I feel like every time we've had a significant conversation,
literally,
it gets better.
It just pulls us closer to each other.
So I really, really do love that for us.
I do too.
Becky and I, friendship.
The love is like so much here. I'm like,
I can feel it. But Becky,
oh my god,
and a fan. You know,
I thank God that I said it first, so all
Becky
the viewers know.
Becky,
you know, but I'm on your couch, so I have to behave myself.
So Jamie and I had like would I say almost a slow build, but like when we got there like, I feel like Becky and I kind of it was like I knew her, and then the minute I decided like Becky is going to be my life, like I don't even know why. I feel like before I even knew you, I loved you. You know, Becky's a singer, so that's why I'm a fan. And the first time I heard her song, I had goosebumps. And I didn't know if she was my age mate. I didn't know where she was. I just felt like this is someone that I want to be her friend. And then as God will have it,
literally as God will have it. As
God will actually have it. Becky came to my church.
Literally as God will have it.
Yeah.
What, in
Reading?
Yeah.
Like she just appeared to the church.
No, like she was invited.
I don't think I just appeared, to be honest, because
like
the way
like one day like by yourself.
Because she was in.
I was in Warwick. Yeah, I was in Warwick.
So it wasn't even like London, because London is the closest place to Reading. But she was invited to sing. And oh my goodness, I was so excited. I was like, wow, I'm going to, you know, meet a fan, like meet a role model, like my inspiration, like, you know, all of these things. And then I met her and I was like, no, this girl must become my friend. Like I don't even know what it was about her. I must have told her like,
life.
Like, I remember that day.
It was such.
She was wearing like a white. You know, Bookie is so stylish. I remember it because I was like, okay, cutie. She wore like one white blazer. I think you gave us white and white with like denim. Okay, cutie. I remember the day.
You're actually right, because I have a picture of that day.
It's his girl.
But I knew when I met you that instantly I knew I wanted to be friends with you, like deep friends, like not like, oh hi, like,
nice to meet you.
No, I was like, this girl has to be my life, like for sure. But I don't remember what happened after that.
Thank you.
Like I feel like we had that moment and then we're here.
And then we're literally
I genuinely don't remember like the process, how it kicked off, how we got deeper as friends. I just feel like it just
happened.
Yes, like we just genuinely got integrated. But I'll let you tell you. I'll let you tell this story.
And that's why I was like, when am I going to have the mic? Because she's talking about how I was a singer. She liked her music. Now, this lady beside me, I think to a large extent, everything she has said holds truth. But the part she has not said, Bookie is very purposeful. She's very like, I think at the time she already had Safe Spend Invest.
Yeah.
I had an NGO I knew I was going to start. And I already had that burden from before uni. I think it was even in like first or second year, God had already given me that burden. So I just saw her from her, I think a mutual friend, Ugo. Shout out to Gogo actually. Yep. I think Gogo knew her. So one day I saw her in train station. I'm like, oh my God, that's Bookie. Hi. We said hello. That was it. Yeah. I think we followed each other on social media. I liked her style. You know, just Bookie being Bookie. I just liked her style, liked her person. But like just the way you admire people but then she listened to the God-given music, no doubt. And she DM'd me, prayed for me. She was just like, and of course in that phase, people would reach out, but I just, maybe because I already liked her, I already admired her person. I
liked you too, boo.
Very much. The love is a lot. The love was a lot. She just prayed for me. She's like, anything God wants to do with you, I'm here. Let me know. I'm like, this is so sweet. And then, of course, I was invited to sing. I didn't even know it was her church. It was another of my friends, Ify, that I knew was in that church. So I was with Ify, and then I saw Book. I'm like, she's here! And I was like, exactly. I'm not joking.
It's like another instance of like not knowing, like different perspectives. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Exactly.
You both feel the same way about each other without knowing.
Yeah. I saw her and I really liked her. I'm like, oh my God, hi. And then she was just,
hi.
That's what I'm always saying, Bookie and a fan, because I was like, hi. But then we just clicked.
Yeah.
Then, at the time, I think it was her book. Your book launch.
ABC.
Yes, ABC the personal finance.
So because I knew I was already following her, I was learning things from things she would share online and just just liking her life and all that she was representing at this point. I think, to be honest, I don't know how we got close enough for me to travel to London
from work.
I don't know.
Are you serious?
I
to
can't
have a meetup.
For my book
her book launch.
Because I was only expecting people in London.
To show up.
Right? And it was also pretty last, maybe like 2 weeks notice or something.
I think I even knew like the week before. I'm like, oh my God, my ticket, I would send it to you.
Yeah. Literally.
But I knew it was off the finance thing because for me, I wanted to learn from her. Just okay, you're university, your parents send you money. I know we were talking about one boot, but there was one knee-high boot I wanted to buy. And I think I don't know, at that point I must have had your number.
Yeah.
I can't really
I don't know how we're so comfortable
with just find that place. But I was like, you know what? I started sharing about like my finance with her. This is what I want to do. This is how I want to. So you go from being the girl that sings to this is my financial advisor. Please come and help me. And then she was having the book launch in London. I don't know how, like, day trip. I was like, okay, at this point, I must love this girl enough to like go all the way. But it didn't even, and that was like March. I think we met like October. So by March, which is like 6 months, she was already in my life for me to be like going to London for her book launch.
Yeah.
But after that, I can't say because I know that from there, it's just like my pocket. She just entered, and just stayed. But I would definitely say it was your purposeful, what do I call it? Your purpose-driven life. Yeah. You are that person. Bookie is very. For sure. I love that you said wisdom because she's wise. She's like I listen to her and I'm like, where's my jotter? Where's my notepad? I always say it's like off a call. I can just get inspiration. My book, it was off the call with Bookie.
Wow.
Nah, if I start, I will stop. But a lot of things I know I can. I'm not afraid to share things with her because she has a big. She has enough faith to listen and to execute. She wouldn't say, Becky, please, I beg. She would what do you need to make this come to pass?
100%.
What do you need? And apart from that, she's also a human being. She's not just from the spiritual things or she knows how to also like, baby girl, let's go and eat. Yeah. You know what I mean? I saw this, I thought you would like it. Yeah, she's just a real person, So I can't really find, but I know those were two like times where I felt like, oh my God, she's in my life, my life, So it's very interesting.
Thanks, guys.
You should be proud of yourself.
Maybe I should get some more friends. Join me.
I really love what Becky was saying actually, because I just realized that like what makes friendships come together is like us being our authentic selves. So like you were attracted to Becky because of her singing, which is a huge part of like a calling that God has given you. You were attracted to Bookie because of her purpose driven life, which is also a huge part of like your calling. And it's like if we just sat down in our rooms and we're not expressing these parts of ourselves, the people that are meant to be in our lives might not find us, because there's a reason why we're attracted to the people we're attracted to, So like what is it that you have that you're not like if you're looking for friends everywhere, like maybe you should just like be more of yourself. Maybe,
Yeah.
and, like
you attract who you are.
Yeah.
That's something that I wrote down, and I think it was in the
Sure.
context of like relationships with the opposite sex. But actually, even with your friendships, it's your person, it's your values, it's your interests, it's who you want to be.
Yeah.
And then you see people on that path as well, and it's just like, oh my God, we're going in the same direction.
Together.
Just hold my
Yeah.
hand, let's keep going, you
For
know.
sure.
So it works.
Yeah. And I think for me, like, you know, I can go on and on about like why I decided to genuinely be intentional with friendship, because I think that friendships are one of those things in life you can't buy it, you can't beg for it. I mean, you can, but like, but like you really can't. Like it won't be authentic, it won't be real.
Yeah.
And so whenever I think about like my life as a whole, like friendship is such a core part. Like who are you doing life with? Because, you know, I think there was an era, I don't even know if it's now or like before, where people really were like, you know, flying the flag of independence of like, oh, I don't need anybody, I can do things myself. I've absolutely never been that person. Like whatever I'm doing, my friends are involved. I love loving my friends. I love honoring them. I love helping people birth ideas, you know, realize their dreams. Like I do that for my husband, safe spread, but I know how important it is for other people. I also recognize like we're talking about like gift versus blessings. Like what is a gift to me? And what is a blessing to me? I know that a lot of my friends are blessings and they're gifts that God has given me to bring out of them as well. And so for me, it's important, you know, for people to know that they're friendships that you have to go to war for. And there are other friendships that are soft and easy, and that a season is hard doesn't mean that you throw the whole friendship away, right? And which is why I talked about like aggressively editing your life and figuring out who you want to do life with. I think that's so important. And changing friendships and changing seasons, guys. We're in our 20s, right? It's a bit murky sometimes, you know, like we said, Demi, like we met in our 20s. Becky and I met just before we got into our 20s, but we've all built like really, really strong friendships. But of course, you guys have your individual friends as well. And we have, of course, mutual friends. But how have you navigated growing up, starting jobs, getting into relationships, you know, almost changing in certain ways? Maybe like your faith is a bit deeper, and then you have maybe some older friends, and some of them might be with you on this journey now. Some of them you decided like, you know what, it's love and lights. As Becky was saying, Becky was always saying love and lights.
It's be real.
You know,
Thank
so
you.
Dames, how have you transitioned, you know, in the different seasons, like in your 20s, and navigating that with friends?
I mean, to be honest, I feel like it's actually been quite hard for me, because like I had this whole like encounter story. I mean, the most significant transition I experienced in my 20s was actually with my relationship with God. And that kind of trumps everything else, like the job, the move, everything. Like that was the biggest thing. And I think when you go through that kind of experience, there's a lot of cutting out that you naturally just do. Not because you want to, but because that's like the best way to move forward. And I'm still in a little bit of a limbo, because I feel like there are people who I used to have like a good relationship with, and now I reminisce. I'm like, oh, this was so nice when we were close, but I also know that we can't have that again. And this is a question I guess I'm asking, you know, whoever's listening, but of course, you know, Becky and Bookie.
I know.
Like how easy is it to have friendships, or to cultivate friendships that don't share the same moral values that you do? You know, because I find that quite hard and uncomfortable, because I won't be able to express myself fully for fear of not what's the word, like offending you, or like doing something that you're not comfortable with, you know what I mean? Like I'm a bit weird, like I'm quite strange, like I can just like burst out speaking in tongues.
Exactly.
You really can.
Or like, you know,
I need to
like
pray, or I have an impression, Holy Spirit.
Start singing like worship music. It's like I don't necessarily feel comfortable doing that with everybody. You know what I mean? So I think in terms of transition, it's been okay in terms of knowing people, like, oh, hi on Instagram, or happy birthday, like how you doing? But in terms of my core friendships, they've drastically changed, like, right? And it's been quite hard. It has not been easy. But what I would say is that I love the people that I have around me now, and I know that this was meant to be.
I'm going to answer your question a little bit because I think I've gone through a lot of like transitions recently from the job that I have to getting married to losing my mom, trying to figure out what life is, you know, with just my dad. And the way I think about like, can you be friends with someone who don't necessarily share the same values as you? I think you can be a type of friend to them, but maybe not your full self. And there are two types of people, right? There are people who maybe like small talk, for example, and people who like deep, like we're only ever really deep, like everything is that deep to them, right?
Like me.
You know. And I think for people who can't do surface friendships, it's really hard, but I do think there will come a point where you're going to have to love people enough to let them go, because you can't actually
that's big.
you can't go the mile with them, you can't go far with them, and I think it's very easy and comfortable to just stay in what is familiar and what is easy, because who wants to have a difficult conversation where I can't even tell you what that would be, because I've really only ever had one of that conversation. And it was really, really tough. But it was with a friend where I just felt like we're going in two different directions in life. And I just had a very honest conversation. Like, I think we both know we're going in two different directions. So I think it's easier if it's mutual. So I think she was already feeling that. But before that, I think I had also intentionally started to like detach myself a little bit. Exactly. You know, slowly, and almost to the point where it's like she got the message. So by the time I was having the conversation with her, it wasn't new. It wasn't like I just sprung it on her. I think she would invite me for certain things. Do you want to go to the club? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? And I was like, no. Or sometimes I explain, you know, I'm not really into that anymore, or I can't. So, I think, there's two types of people. You can cut it off if you can't go that far. Otherwise, if there are people that like, you know, I have people that I literally see maybe a couple of times a year, but I love them from a distance because they can't be close to me. If you don't share the same values, the Bible says can still work together unless they agree. You know, and I think that's very important for friendships as well as like relationships.
Okay, so context, just a very brief context. So I gave my next Christ in 2012. At this point, this was like maybe year 11, just almost ending secondary school, going to I'm a very young girl, by the way. We're in the 20s. See, actually, mid-20s. I think it was like first year of foundation year. So before going to uni. And at that point, I was serious. Like, I was like, okay, you know what? Enough of this. You go, you come back, you go, you come back. At this point, I was very serious. And of course, that was entirely by the Holy Spirit, entirely. It was so serious to the point that I said, if I don't have any friend throughout this year, I'm okay. Like, I'd rather be alone than lost in the crowd. Like, I don't need noise. I just want to come here, get my grades, and go to university. I don't need... I didn't know how seriously God also honored that prayer, because now I had a SIM card. We're not allowed smartphones, so I had a SIM card. I think my dad got me just one random phone, and I know the SIM card must have fallen down somewhere, but I know I just couldn't find the SIM card anymore. Now this was the SIM card everybody in my secondary school had. That's my number that they had. I had to get a new SIM card, meaning nobody could be in touch with me. Nobody could contact me. We didn't have smartphones, nothing. So it's not even like you go on social media and say, oh, this is my number, send a DM. That was true. It. So I literally just had a new phone number and no friend. So I started out having no friend. And also nobody, I don't think there was anybody else from my secondary school there. So nobody had context about me. So it was like a new beginning of a sort. I literally just started that year and gradually started attracting like-minded people. Exactly. Your kind. I'll go to the library. I think at some point I had like this pocket Bible. It was even, some people will be laughing. I'm not joking. I will see. You know what I'm saying? You know what? I want to just know God now, finally. I'm not joking. So it was very interesting how that year ended with solid friendships that I still have in my life now. But it was off me deciding this is who I am. And if nobody else will come around, it's okay. But whoever will come around will come around. And I think God honors seasons with people. Buki was talking about how people are gifts and people are blessings. And it's true, because as you change, God will also help you sift, you would realize this is no longer
Definitely,
serving a purpose. Maybe this is serving a purpose.
Yeah.
Can I honor that in this season? Who will come around in this season? So it's really you, what you want to build, the life you want to create, and honoring whatever sifting would then take place to serve that greater good as well. So,
Thank you.
I want to read an excerpt from my newsletter. This one is about changing seasons and friendships. So it says, as seasons change, so do friendships. And I've been thinking about this a lot in my conversation with some friends. Being in your 20s, as you guys know, means you and all your friends are likely going through some pretty deep, tough, life-changing decisions, moving countries, getting married, pivoting careers, starting a family. Some are balancing multiple of those changes and transitions because there's no guidebook to sort of navigating life in your 20s, let alone friendships. And we're trying to figure it out, or figure out how to do our best. I was talking to someone recently who was finding this season especially hard because even though she's a bit more settled in her life, has a stable long-term relationship, is fulfilled in her career, has a life is generally good outlook, there's like a lot of moving parts in her friendships. On one hand, she has friends getting married or getting into new relationships who don't speak to her as much, presumably because they're settling into those relationships, at least, unless we know otherwise. Others with which she's finding she has less and less in common with as she grows older. And even some of her long-term friends are just becoming harder to stay in touch with. Or she's finding they're changing because of the relationships they now have in their lives as well. She was asking how I deal with navigating changes in friendships and how she can be a good friend to those who are in transition or busy periods in her life, such that her friendship with them seems like it's on the back pedal, at least for now. So, Bex, moving countries, because when you graduated, you moved. And, just dealing with friends who are getting married, changing careers, starting families, quite literally.
God, crazy.
All these changes are happening in a very, very short space of time, whilst you are also trying to figure out, like, how to show up. How to show up for them in these different seasons. So how would you say that you've dealt with being a good friend to people like that in those different seasons?
I think to a large extent, it's from having genuine conversations with them and knowing how best I can serve them, knowing how best I can show up for them.
We had a conversation.
Oh my God. This is like
recently.
She is the queen
No.
We sat down. I literally opened my notes and I'm like, okay, this is what I'm going to have to do. This is what I'm not going to do. Because to a lot of us, we assume the person you knew when you were 21 is the person you know when you're 25, 26, 27. Life has changed. You're changing, I'm changing. So in this season, how can I... It's still me that you know, but the context is changing. So take, for instance, a friend who's getting married. Service in that season is... And we spoke offline around this as well about now there's a partner in the mix. Am I going to be checking in on my new brother? Like, how... He's my brother, but like, what's his first name again? Do I know him?
He's not your core friend.
Exactly.
He's your friend.
He's my friend by association. Actually,
Yeah.
And then I have friends now who are having kids. And I remember just telling Buki, like, just sharing authentically, once my friends have kids, I'm clueless because to a large extent, maybe I know what to do when you're getting married. Maybe I know, okay, I would pray, we would work together, your bridal fittings, your wedding, give a gift here and there. But like once a whole baby is in the mix, I just feel like you are in another life season, you're busy, you're occupied, And I remember Buki telling me, okay, but have you had the conversation? Have you said, what do you need? Maybe it's helping them take things off their list. Maybe it's sending food. Maybe it's just if they're in your city. I remember telling her some of my friends are not even in my city anymore. So I don't even know. We're always on FaceTime and I'm tired of being on FaceTime dates and I'm tired of not being able to hug you because I'm also very physically expressive. I would hug you, we would go out. And she was like, okay, have those conversations. Write down what do you need? What do I need? And how can we show up for each other? And if after that there's no reciprocity or there's no, then okay, it's what evaluating. Maybe if this friendship is even still a priority to you or to me. But if that's been done actively, then of course there's progress. And I think I've definitely seen progress with that as well. But this is for the friendships that there's mutual deliberateness. Do you know what I mean? Mutual deliberateness.
I think it's important that friendships, even though there are seasons where you might give more, I feel like in the season I'm in, my friends definitely have poured out more into me than I'm probably able to give out right now. But it has to be deliberate, right? I don't want people to think that friendship is about give and take. I do this for you, there for you. Like this is not quid pro quo. You don't. It's not you scratch my back, I scratch your back. This is who is important to you, why you love them, how you want to serve them, and having friends who believe in those same values and want to treat you the same way, right? Dames, how have you you're in a relationship?
I am.
Yes, happily. So
I love it. Emphasis on happily.
And I imagine that getting into a newish relationship might mean that you, of course, have less time just by default, right? Because now, say you had 2 hours for your friends. Now you have a partner, you have to split that maybe 1 and 1 or 1 and half and half, So how have you thought about it, maybe in terms of either just checking in with your friends, like, to make sure that, guys, I'm still here, not because I'm in a relationship, maybe people throw me away kind of thing, but also giving, like, allowing yourself to enjoy a fresh new relationship. Let's talk about that.
I think at the beginning stage of the early stages of the relationship, like I was spending more time with him, and there was clearly like so a couple of friends that I would often speak to, like FaceTime, the calls were getting less and less and less. But I think I expect my friends to give me grace and to understand because I would do the same thing for them. And so I wasn't really, I mean, I think in life as we get older, if you are in a relationship and you're spending more time with your boyfriend, it's a good thing. It's a blessing. So enjoy it, of course you're going to spend less time with your friends and some of them might be upset about it. But that's okay. It's just a natural part of life. Like, it's not always going to be like that.
For sure.
And I think if you're an intentional person and you genuinely care about your friends, like for me, I know that I can't do without some of my friends. I can't live life. I don't want to live life without them.
Yeah.
And so there will naturally come a time where the relationship kind of, stabilizes a little bit, where there's, you guys are now, you're dating, for example, and you have to do real life. Like, the person you're dating surely does not have, like, I don't know about you guys that are listening / watching and Becky and Buki, but I don't know how to do that thing where, like, you're on the phone to your partner for like 24 hours. Like, he's just on FaceTime, you're just on FaceTime too. Like, I don't understand.
Been there.
Like, I'm like rushing off the phone while like struggling
just
to like
call our names.
Really?
The thing is,
really? Okay, that's very. I think
maybe not 24.
Maybe not.
But
no, I've gone through it when it was new. When I first started
24
dating,
for a long time,
we would literally sleep and wake up. And
even I have friends who like want to do that with me, and I'm like, no, I need to be alone sometimes.
I think that's the maturity in being in your 20s though.
Yeah.
I feel like it'd be different if you
honest,
were like 18, 19, 20. Because I feel like if the younger girls listen to this, they'll be like, well, I want to spend all my time. Which, even at that time, you have all the time to spend.
To be honest.
I guess you don't have all the time to spend right now. No. You can't even spend, 5-6 hours. You're thinking,
there's things like calls are coming in. No, I get that. So I think in the beginning stages is fine because, for obvious reasons, I think allow life to do what it's meant to do. Like, actually get to know your boyfriend well, get to like spend enough time with him. And then your friends, hopefully you have good enough friends around you who understand. But if you don't, explain to them, like have a conversation with them, like, oh, hey guys, I've met this guy. I really like him. I kind of want to, take some time getting to know him a little bit more. would you understand? Like, just communicate. Like, if your friend calls you, you don't pick up. Like, don't not rest. Like, text her. Like, I'm really guilty of actually not doing this, but don't be like me.
Do better.
Like, do better than me. Like, text. Oh, I'm on the phone to XYZ person. Like, I'll call you back. I'll try and call you back, or I might not call you back. But just, I think everybody appreciates communication and transparency and vulnerability. But as the relationship progresses, I think it's also important to set the standard for your life, even because even when you get married, you still want to be able to have. I saw a video on Instagram the other day where this lady was like, well, she doesn't go anywhere without her husband, they do everything together, they're not allowed to have this, and I'm like, this is fantastic for you,
love it for you, sis.
But for me, it is not realistic because we both have different line of works. You know, I need to go out and network with my colleagues, my people, you know, I need to have a life that exists without my husband, my partner, because it's important, you know, we're still two different people. And I think when you begin to, it's so tempting to be like, oh, just him. I just love him.
Or almost just morph into the same person. Which I've seen a lot of people do. They just become one and the same with their partners.
And I think maybe there could be time and a space for that. But I think ultimately God wants us to be everything he has called us to be, not like our husbands and I, but us to be like, we're still, you know, we're one, but like we still have like individual callings that he wants us to fulfill, just helping, I mean, to complement each other, not like you can become each other. So I think that's kind of how I handled it. Communication.
You know what Demi was saying is so spot on, because even if you liken this to like a new job, for instance, if it's a new phases come with like it's new. It's new. Exactly. It's new. So there's also that grace, even from your friends, you know, and I think I finally realized that it's okay to have expectations if you're supposed to really be in my life. I can communicate. I'm not, it's not wrong if I have expectations. I can communicate to you that right now I'm navigating a new job. I remember my, the last 1 year plus of my life, being on, you know, from, I mean, if you're watching this from diaspora, maybe you don't know how far Lekki to Ikeja might be. But I was doing that, you know, 5 days a week, 4 days, you know, on weeks that was special. You know, you have one day off, and that was crazy. So the little time I have is to get home, even see, how are my parents doing, how are my siblings doing, before I even check on one friend another, I have to go to bed. You know, so to a large extent, I feel like new seasons also come with you also reevaluating, okay, what needs to move around, what is changing, but how can I also honor my friends in this context? And like you've said, if it's a text, maybe every week, you know, I used to have free time, we could go for lunch once a month, or we could try out food here and there, and that can happen right now. Because it can happen right now doesn't mean it wouldn't happen in my next phase or in the next 6 months or in the next 1 year. But I know that you know the phase I'm in, and I know that you would give me grace. So even if it's thinking about you, praying for you, I see a funny meme and I send to you. I think something Buki told me was, call me, let me see your missed call. Then I will reply. You know what I mean? It's like, don't just assume I'm busy or I don't want to speak. So also communicating this is what will be helpful for me right now. Because what's the beauty? Why will you be friends if you cannot be true, or if you cannot be honest?
Or you're afraid of losing them, so you don't communicate certain things.
Then it's not organic, it's not authentic, and
I want to talk about that. I want to talk about like these unwritten assumptions or the assumptions that a lot of people have for their friends without actually communicating it, which it just blows my mind, because I'm like, people lose friendships, people give up on friendships because of things that they thought or they assumed they were busy, they assumed they didn't want to talk, they assumed they needed space, they assumed to the end of the friendship. You know, and this would have been funny. And this would have been like really good friends with people who had good intentions, were just probably dealing with things and they just did not communicate. And so I think that communication is actually so key in friendships, like communicating your expectations, communicating how you want to be loved on, showed up for, like what are the things that are important to your friends that you should actually be like, okay, this is important to them. If one of your friends isn't fussed about like being on the phone as much, but what is important is, if I call you that I need something, or I need you to be at my house, or I'm having an event and I need you to show up, then this is what is important to me. You can't call that person and they're not picking up and you're mad, because they're like, but I'm not really like that person, you know. So I think it's important that people really get to know and understand their friends for who they are as people, and don't have these like unwritten assumptions, like actually speak up. Like I think it's Malik who says whatever they haven't said to me, it remains unsaid. Like if you haven't told me something, I can't read your mind. And I think that's for me such an important part of when I'm building friendships, especially like early on. Like I want to get to know, what do you like, what don't you like, is there something that your friends do at the moment that tick you off, or like what do you care about? Are you a call, you know, do you want me to call you more? Are you a texting person? Okay, I'm not a texting person, but if you call on FaceTime, are you someone who needs to like hang out a lot, like how Becky expressed, like she's physically expressive, things like that can just go unsaid are so important.
Do you remember when we had like a conversation, like this was before your wedding, and like I think something about like the like Ashrabi is like material.
Google it. Google it.
If you don't know what Ashrabi is,
just Google it.
And I think, I don't know what happened, but we had a conversation. I think there might have been a misunderstanding, and I was like, oh, Bookie, you never have to be worried about me not telling you how I feel if you potentially upset me, because I'm not the kind of person who would, you know, be angry and then keep it to myself. Like I would let you know, like, oh, I didn't really appreciate that, can you do that better next time? That's just me. But I also have really close friends who they don't like confrontation at all. So it's like, I think it's so important. Like you said, I had a friend one time who she literally stopped speaking to me for like, we will talk every day, you know, and she was very valuable to me. Like I really loved her. I really love her now. But we didn't speak for like 2 months. I would call her, no response, text her, no response, you know, and it was really painful. I was like really hurt. And when I finally got in touch with her, it turns out like she wasn't like in a good place that whole period. And I was like, okay, that's fine, but I'd have liked a text message.
Yeah, I think that's a fair like expectation to have, that even if you are going through something tough, something unspeakable, something is just too hard, I think it's a fair expectation for the other party to expect that you should still be able to say, it's so like, I'm in the deep right now, I can't see and I can't talk and I really don't even want to, but just so you know, or hey, I'm just taking some space, not from you in particular, just everybody, like I just need a break from, you know, to just be by myself. I think that's fine. And I think that friendships should be able to withstand like tough seasons, because you're not doing life alone. Like if I'm inviting someone to be my friend, I'm inviting them into my life to do it with me. So I think it's incredibly selfish and also a bit hypocritical if I'm going to ask that you're only there in my good times, but I wouldn't let you be there in my bad times. Like what am I afraid of for you to see? You know, and I think that like you can be kind even if it's tough. You can send a text to say, I can't speak right now, or I'm in a really difficult place, like and even maybe show, you know, give what you want them to do. So this is what might be helpful. I would like for you to check on me maybe every Sunday just to see that I have my head up. I would like for you to come and visit me. I'm struggling to even think about food. So if you're looking to do something for me, maybe buy me food or ask if I've eaten or something like that, you know. And I think that, again, these are the really difficult conversations that we need to have.
That's why the person has to, like, you both have to be in it.
You do. You
can't,
it's not one foot in, one foot out.
No.
It's not one person over
laboring, because resentment is real, for sure. You just start to resent someone and you don't know that you're even resenting them. You feel like you've been giving, you've been sowing, you're not getting it back. And of course we don't like to claim or believe that we're in friendships to get things back, because that's not the bedrock. But it's mutually beneficial. I've gained something from you, you've impacted my life, you've helped build in some capacity, and I believe same for you. So the moment it starts feeling, you know, if it's not addressed, resentment can really creep in, and at that point it's a lost cause. If it's not even treated properly, you start to just not even want to be around the person. You start to,
and I think those are the times that if we're talking about like friendships ending or friendship breakups, it's more than just, with therapy these days, some people take it to one different level as that, you didn't respect my boundaries, so I'm cutting you off.
Yeah.
Things like it's actually more than that. Like these are like, this is actually life that you're choosing to do with people. And if you are making a decision to break up a friendship or break up with someone, because they've not respected you enough, because they haven't given, I think it can be tricky, right? Because at what point do you stop trying? Versus, okay, maybe this person is really going through it for like 6 months and actually like they've not reached out, they've not spoken to me at all. Like, do I keep going, or is this enough to actually be like, I don't actually think I want you in my life because I don't think you honor this friendship.
Exactly.
Not even necessarily like me. Like this friendship enough to give it the respect it deserves to stand.
Exactly.
Right? I think that's a really, really big deal.
I think we should let people be themselves, like show for themselves and take what they show us as, okay, this is who this person is. Like, I think if somebody goes for months on end without speaking to you, responding to you,
it's really tough.
It's really hard, but at the same time, like, it could be your own way out of something that could have hurt you even more, like 5 years down the line. Do you get what I mean?
Ooh, like, never saw that from that angle.
So I feel like human beings are all like, this is my outlook on life. I think nobody wants to hurt anybody. Like, or maybe some people do, but like, I don't know if those people are okay.
I'm not sure. Intentionally.
Like, nobody's like, oh, I want to make sure that I'm not going to talk to her for 5 months. I should be sad every night. Like, do you know what I mean? I don't think anybody's that malicious that they're like,
that is
that's a friend.
Yes, that's a friend. And so if the person is unable to show up for you, then just believe them for, they're trying to communicate something to you, like, hear them, you know what I mean? Like, just hear them, walk away, wish them the best, and it's like, okay, no problem, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the other thing I wanted to say was, there was a point in time where I felt like I wasn't a good enough friend, or I wasn't a good friend to people. And it's quite similar to what we're describing at the beginning, because I'm quite like lax as a person, like I don't really love going out that much. Like,
you're actually quite a chill, low maintenance friend.
Exactly. So like, I'm not like,
don't need very much.
So sometimes I would watch what like maybe some of my friends would do. Like, there was this point in time, I think my sister had her naming ceremony for my little nephew, and I think it was, you guys might not know them, but Shenami and Shide both, I didn't tell anybody to come because I'm like, people are busy, they're doing things. I didn't tell anybody to come. And then I think I put it on my close friend's story, and both of them were like, oh, they would come, and they came all the way. When I saw them, I started crying. And they were like,
of course you did.
Of course you did actually cry.
They were like, oh, this is normal. So for them, but for me to like go out of my life and then go, like, that's hard for me. Like, I like my comforts, and just like, I'll send you like a nice gift or like a nice message, but I don't know that I will actually go so far.
Wow,
you get.
this is so interesting for me to hear.
That's also you as a person.
That's what I'm saying. So, like,
and I don't think that you need to be.
No, I don't think I do either. That's what. So I was like, I now realized that because I wasn't doing those things that I was receiving as love, I'm like, maybe I'm not a good enough
maybe something.
friend.
Yeah, because that's so
like,
interesting.
I don't receive. I receive love differently to how people show it to me.
Wow.
Yeah, like that was a lot. I was like, wow, but it's because my nature is not to do that for people. Like, it takes me, I have to go out of my way. So, and I started thinking like, maybe I'm not a good friend. But then when I started to get to know myself, like, I understand. Yeah, I'm like, okay, I actually do the best for who I am. You know, I love very deeply. Like, I feel very deeply. Like, even if I might not show it to you face to face, like, I'm thinking of you and I'm crying about you and I'm praying for you and I'm like, I feel for you. Do you get what I mean? Like, I might not travel for you, I'll travel for myself. Interesting. But like, do you get what I mean? For example, like, I don't like sharing food, for example. Like, get your food, I'll get mine. Like, so I might not express love to you in that way, but it doesn't mean that I don't love you. Yeah. So that took like some mind work for sure.
This is so amazing because I'm the opposite. Like, and I love that you're saying this, because this is also how. So we're 3 girls.
Yeah.
For context, last born of 3 sisters, and my first sister is like Buki. She's like, what do you want to eat? What do you want? Like, we're living in a house, you're carrying gifts. You're carrying, and I think I saw that a lot from my mom as well. And it's just, so I would go to my friends with something, even if it's
grapes.
Even if it's grapes, like I just, I would travel, I would show up to your events, but my other sister, I now realized it's okay. It took a while because, oh my God, even recently I traveled, I came back, she was not at home. I'm like, how can I be arriving? We had a conversation, and we had that conversation, and I just realized, but she was like, I called you.
Yeah.
I asked you if you were hungry.
Yeah.
So I also learned to accept, and I love that you're saying this because giving grace is not in the air. Like it's something we actually have to do because for her, she's like, once you move something in her room, she knows.
Yeah.
But then when she wants to gift you, I can randomly open my room and she's gifted me a whole box of maybe she bought pizza. She's like, let me do 2 boxes instead. But it doesn't mean she loves me any less because she's not in my room 247 or she's not. So it's interesting. And I think for me, I also at a point started thinking maybe I'm doing too much for my friends because I wouldn't get that back.
That's so interesting.
Exactly. I would like something happens for you, I'm there. Like to a large extent, I'm there. But I just felt like maybe I'm the one putting all this energy and it's not really being like reciprocated. But I know they love me, right? So I just stopped having expectations. I'm like, you know what? If you show up, I'm not entitled to you showing up. And I still am not entitled to anybody showing up. But if you show up, I'm happy you showed up. But I don't expect it from you. But I'll give myself that expectation for them. But I don't see the expectation back. So I think it's very interesting that these conversations are happening because
people need to know. There's difference. It's friendship, personality.
Exactly.
Who you are,
exactly.
How you... It's the same... It's like love languages, right?
Yes.
Like, this is how I give... This is how I show love to you. Which is very different to how you show love to me. Which is very different to how you show love to me. And I think when you're setting your expectations for your friends, like having that knowledge, which is why I talked about like when I'm especially now making new friends, it's very important for me to get to know them. Like what is actually important to you, because if I'm here calling you on FaceTime all the time and you don't really
and it's not big for you,
like and then maybe you invite me for somewhere and I don't come and then you're so upset and I'm so confused and I'm thinking that's a small thing. They're thinking like, no, this is what I truly care about, right? So it's like, you're thinking, I might not travel for you, but I would buy you a beautiful gift. Like, send me your wish list.
This conversation is actually really healing me.
Honestly.
It's healing me because, like, I've been having this, like, thought of, okay, because I feel like there are quite a few people who have reached out to me recently or would want to make more of an effort with me, like, for a friendship. Like, oh, can we, like, hang out and stuff? But I think I only have capacity for a few, and it's because of the way I am. Like I said, with both of us, like when we had that conversation, I'm like, I'm in, and all the effort that is going to take me to love you, not effort, but all that it requires.
My love, it takes effort as well.
I will give it, but I can't, because I'm such a deep person, I cannot do that
for a lot of people.
I can't. I will just be tired because I would want to, like, so. It's not that I'm not, because I was like, am I missing out by not building a friendship with these people? But I wouldn't even have the same quality. I wouldn't benefit the same way because this is who I am. And like,
friendship is quality.
It's quality. It's quality. 100%. Like, it's actually quality. This is.
Okay. I want to
another conversation.
I want to start to round up.
Okay.
I want to
I'll
go
hold
on.
that comment for offline.
So
another time. But this is so helpful.
It's so good. I want to move into this last part, which is group friendships and navigating the dynamics of group friendships, especially if it's a legacy friendship, like from school is what I always call legacy friendship, right? And the potential to be closer to one than the other, and then maybe in another season closer to one than the other, and then one is your person, one is the other person's person, and then maybe within that as well, let's talk about just like growing up and the issues that can happen in dynamics, like jealousy, resentments, lack of communication between certain people, and at what points maybe the friendship group does need to just die. Like, like Destiny's Child, like at some point go solo kind of thing, build your friendships offline, because group friendships can easily become a clutch or a crutch rather, where you think you're actually friends with someone, but you're actually really not. Like you're,
oh my God,
like it's because someone else is friends with them, or because you guys have all
just always been,
you see each other a lot.
You see each other a lot. It's very convenient for you to be friends, but
deep down
you have form, not substance.
Wow.
So Dames or Becks, whichever one wants to go
Baby,
first.
I think you're first. That's why.
Why? No, I just feel like friendships require, like we've been saying, intentionality. How can you be intentional with 4 people at the same time? Do you get what I mean? It's like, for me, I need to sit down with you one-on-one. Let's talk. Like, I want to get to know you. And with group friendships, like, you often do lunches, you go to the movie, you often do like, or maybe you even if you go for dinner, you're talking, you can't get deep. I was planning this interview thing for this platform, and it was meant to be with Tenny, Segwan, or Lawani. And I remember speaking to Tenny, like, okay, this is what we're going to do. I'll get you on, I'll get Oriana. Tenny was like, you can't have a fruitful conversation with me with both of us on there because there's too much to say. Like, if you want to extract the maximum value, it has to be just me. Like, you have to take your time and really get to know. So my thing with friendship groups is like, of course, you will have friends that are mutual friends and you guys can all hang out together. But if you care about the individuals within that group, you need to take your time to get to know them as individuals. Sometimes group chats, delete them.
Please.
Like, just delete them and text the person.
And
go for dinner with them, go for lunch with them, because I'm so happy with the friendships I have right now and the quality of them. You know, I'm so grateful for them, and I've seen how, like, what you don't nurture will not grow. Like, it just will die because stagnancy is basically death. You're not growing, then you're dying literally. So I just think, like, there's a time and a place for group friendships, but I think if you're interested in having a better quality of life when it comes to friendships, you need to, like, get to know one-on-one. Make sure that you guys can hang out as friends, but after that friendship meeting, be intentional about scheduling time with those individual people if you care about them. And I'm speaking to myself because I just remembered a couple of people that
I think having your own friendships outside of the group friendship is important, because I have a core group friendship, but I have my own relationships with each of them. And even though I'm closer to one than the other, I know the kind of friend the other people are. Like, I show up for them in the way our friendship is set up. And all of our friendships are very different. But I think that there is a tendency to become complacent or to just think, okay, we're friends, but we're not really friends. Like, you don't really know me. You don't really know what I like. Like, we just hang out. We do very, very surface things. But if I truly had a need, if I truly had gone through something, like, are you actually the person that I want to talk about it with? And if I am talking about it, is it out of convenience because you kind of are in my life, you maybe know, like, the people I know, kind of thing, which again is very, like, form and no substance. So Bex.
You know, it's interesting that this is I just love this conversation so much, but also because of the angle I might come from in this context.
Yes, please.
I am very grateful for the amount of friends I have, and I know that sounds very weird, but I have a number of friends, and I don't use the word friendship casually. I don't, like, I turn down to be bridesmaids, I turn down lots of things because I do, because I just feel like, are you my friend? But the other day, I was, like, literally writing down, because I evaluate as well. Okay, like, let's say a big life milestone or something happens. Okay, who are the friends I actually know about this or that are going to be aware? So the other day, I was just drafting down, people that are aware of something that happened in my life. And the list was getting to, like, 12. And I was like, how did I... And each of them, I couldn't find a name to be like, I haven't spoken to you in the last 1 month. I haven't spoken to you. Of course, not every week. I don't even speak to my best friend every week. But, like, I was like, oh my God. Wow. And this is not small for me, because I don't do shallow friendships.
That's
incredible. I have
Please, can you just...
No, it's not anything to applaud. Here's why. Well, I see what they mean. But I think I just concluded early that if I love you, I'm invested in your life and you're invested in mine. So we might not talk every time, but you will not look for me and not find me. I will not look for you and not find you, you know. And I think to a large extent, to a large extent, I think there's been that. Now, in that mix, there are people that knew each other from school and whatnot. I don't know how they're faring. Like Jamie said, the group chats have died. New ones have been formed with just 1 or 2, you know, but I really think it's per season. If someone is in my life, or, you know, this season we're closer, and another season comes and you're still consistent.
Yeah.
Another season comes, you're consistent.
Yeah.
So over time, you've proven that this is not just, it's now friend turn family. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like you're in my life. And even if I'm not going to speak to you
every day
for this month, I know that I'm on your mind, you're on my mind, and whenever we pick up. And I think it's years of investment. But if I sense, like I have, you know, in the past, sensed, okay, it's like I'm only trying and you're not, or you're trying and I just feel like your job in my life is done, you know, then that sifts and it's okay, you know. But I think to a large extent, because I see my friends like my family, you know, I'm very invested in their lives. Like, I think I even choke them a lot at this point. And it's not like we speak a lot. Now I think about it, like, they're not, but the core things that happen, like, you don't have to know I woke up and brushed my teeth, no. But like, if something big is happening in my life, you should know because you should hold me accountable. And you should pray for me and you should call me to order if you feel like I'm sleeping. Just things like that. Like, I am able to share those parts of my heart with them. You know, so that's not a group I'm careless with. No, I'm very intentional about them. And it makes, that's why it's either you're in my core, you're like,
are just around.
Yeah, it's very clear. There's no middle, there's no bridge. There's like these people are where every other person almost is like, oh, just, I know you and I wish you well. But I'm 100% open to seasons changing and new people coming in, because you never know who God wants to use in a particular season of your life. And if you're so hell-bent on we've been friends from secondary school, like you will still meet more friends in your next job or in your next, and who knows if that person has a role to play. I was talking about how I've always known Demi from primary school, you know, and Demi was not in my life for a lot of years, but then she came back and I was like, and I liked her a lot because, like I said again, purpose and just everything she does. Shout out Skinnies, by the way. Just dropping that in. But, you know, just looking at her life and things that she's doing. And obviously we would share. She'll say, okay, you know, something's happening. I'll say, oh, can I come? Or she'll invite me to something. Those are genuine ways. I know this person is also on this journey, you know, of building that intentional life that we're all after. So things like that, it's seasonal and you're welcoming new friendships, but also rekindling old ones when necessary. You know,
I agree. And that last point, like rekindling, I think is important, because with seasonal friendships, like you might again be pouring out to one friend in one season, or a friend might be so close to you in one season, and another season of your life they might not, just by how life is, right? And other friends might come to the forefront, and then that might also change. And I think being open to change, I think a lot of people, when it comes to friendships, fight, you know, you know, it's almost like fight or flight. Like, it's either they're going to drop the friendship or they're just, you know, fighting against the change. And I think that it's important to be open to change. Like, there are friends that a year ago, 2 years ago, I was super close with, and these days they're still my friends, but what maybe even now trying to figure out, like, okay, where are we in this season of our lives, because we're not as close, and maybe something significant actually with this, you know, with one or two friends, significant things have happened that have caused our friendships to change, and now we're almost in the process of rebuilding in a different way, and now trying to be like, okay, how do we want to show up, and how do we want to do life going forward, and making sure maybe things that happened before don't happen again. If there was hurt, things like actually addressing it, like being adults, because guys, we're actually adults. You know, we should be mature enough to have these conversations and to navigate it. And it's not always easy. You know, it's usually quite tough, in fact, but I think it's worth doing. Guys, any final words? This has been so amazing. I hope you guys have truly enjoyed it, are blessed, are healing through these conversations. But anything you want to add, anything anyone should know?
I think my own sort of final word would be, even though there are a lot of final words that I would have loved to say, and so many conversations I know that would flow from this conversation, I think just do like a heart-to-heart with yourself and think, okay, in this phase of my life, of course, you know, if you're Christian, with the help of the Holy Spirit, who are the people that are meant to be in my life, and how can I serve genuinely? Because you can't be a friend, you can't expect what you're not going to give. You can't be a friend if you're not willing. You can't have a friend if you're not willing to be a friend. You know, so if the Lord is saying, okay, it's 5 or it's 10 or it's 8, then you're going to have to give me capacity for those 8s, and then how can I steward and serve those 8s? And I think from there you start to see improvements, you know, if you're looking for them. Or you also start to see peace of mind and air if you're holding on to garbage, if you're holding on to noise.
Yeah.
So I think that heart can only be done by you, because you don't owe anybody anything at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So yeah,
thank you for sharing that. I think for me, like, this conversation has just reminded me how much of a gift friendships are, and how like it's like making a meal, like all the efforts it takes to make a meal. You go to the markets or the supermarkets, you go, you chop your onions, you kill your chicken and you skin it, all the things. I definitely don't do that, but all the things, and then like you then cook the meal and then you eat it and you enjoy it, and it's like friendships are so enjoyable when you put the effort in to actually make them that. Like they're literally like I can be having a bad day and I'm like, okay, I know the friend I'm going to call, because they're gifts. Literally, it's like a balm to like for your wound sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But it just depends on how much you put into it and pour into it. You know, like it's amazing. Like if you are watching or listening to this and you don't have, you know, like great friends, like I think you should start with yourself, you know, and begin to nurture, like build, be intentional, and before you know it, like you'll be surrounded by
your kind,
your kind, and you will
really
just like yeah.
Oh, thank you guys so much. In fact, I have no words, but I will really, really just end it there and hope that this has blessed multiple people, because I know that it will.
For sure.
So please do share it, like it, send it to your friends. Even if they're hard conversations that you don't know how to say, I'm hoping that some of the words that have been put into our mouth that actually will speak on your behalf as well. And so I pray that the Holy Spirit will do the work for you and with you. But yeah, do share it. Let us know in the comments as well what you enjoyed, what you took out of it. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode. Bye.